everyone, it's Sean from STK. Today we're talking all things tungsten EQR. It's been a stellar day in the share price because there's been some big developments globally with what's happening in the United States and China. I've got the chairman of EQR here with us today, Oliver. Oliver, thanks for coming in and welcome.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, great being here.
Bit of a crazy day. We've had a bit of turbulence in the stock of late, but a really good positive move today. There was a massive announcement by China regarding tungsten, which we saw happen to antimony recently, which set those antimony stocks flying for the next several months. Today, something's massive happening in tungsten. Can you just give us an update of your thoughts on it and how it affects EQR?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Certainly, the company being in the tungsten space for many years and the individuals running the company, I think, have demonstrated that the space we are in is the right space when it comes to critical minerals, when it comes to those critical minerals which have great exposure to the supply imbalances or generally to China as the market. Again, our narrative in the company is obviously countering these supply imbalances and trying to supply Western markets with sustainably with those critical minerals in years to come. So for us, it didn't came at a surprise. I think when you see what happened with antimony, gallium, germanium last year or end of 2023, initially there were export controls announced. In December 24, you saw more stringent movements from China with an export ban entirely only to the US. But what you see now with the recent announcement on tungsten and molybdenum and other critical minerals, bismuth, etc., just from yesterday's announcements, that will impact markets in Japan and Europe likewise. So I think it's a big wave, but from a corporate point of view, to be honest, that's exactly the narrative we are building our projects on. And it's great to see it, obviously, in share price movement. But most important for us is that we really deliver expanding production and continue delivering into these Western value chains, supply chains that we have identified as seriously critical to industrial output in the Western world.
That's fantastic. I know you've got prepayments from your customers, which could look at happening ongoing as well. But with the pricing, does it affect the pricing in any way? I know I heard whispers late last year that Almonty was potentially charging a premium for their tungsten because it was outside of China. Do you think that could flow into your books as well?
Well, I wouldn't want to comment on other companies and how premium is defined. A matter of the fact is that as demand from the Western world comes back kicking in, I just looked it up this morning. Manufacturing PMIs in Europe are still below 47, in the US just came above 50. What I'm trying to say is that the traditional demand industries, let's say manufacturing, base metals, infrastructure development, steel making in general, I think we haven't really seen a demand push over the last few years. Once that kicks in, I think it will elevate prices entirely, whether somebody charges a premium or not. I think the baseline commodity price likely will increase, and that helps all the producers out there. I can say for EQR, we specifically for our Spanish asset, we have standardized our product specifications. In the past, under previous management, every customer had received very customized concentrate as per their levels of maximum impurities or what the tungsten grade in the concentrate should look like. And I think we have done pretty well in the last 12 months to educate the market what we believe is a standard product. And I think everybody out there knows in meanwhile that we are producing a 50% grade. All the customers have accepted those changes without any, price compromise from our side. So I would say we are likewise receiving a premium as compared to the years before, as we are standardizing our product, whatever suits best to the processing plant and to the ore body. And there's naturally certain impurities that will end up in the product. But I can say all our customers have joined this journey. All our customers understand that if we sit within our sweet spot, we will, at the end of the day, recover more tungsten for them. And it's a win-win situation, right? So I do believe, again, underlying prices will will see improvement. And I would say for EQ Resources, we have delivered on what we've promised shareholders to improve recoveries in Spain through the adaptation of our specifications with the support of our customers. And Sean, you referred to prepayments. I think over the last 12 months, every renewal, long-term contract renewals, we were able to secure an upfront payment from our customers, which not only helps commercially, financially, but I think it's a vote of confidence in the operation and in the management team, as we have basically locked ourselves up both ways for multiple years, and they have invested financially in the operation. So I think that's a very comfortable position to be in, and we're not exposed to, maybe a declining spot demand moving forward. But we always have customers to deliver into, and let's just see what the price is doing over the coming months.
Thank you. I know with what we saw with our antimony, that kept going and going as soon as China shut it down. And I think that growth could significantly happen here. It's that very similar characteristics where you've got a huge production happening in China, just getting shut overnight. So it's a very good thing for EQR shareholders. We always see came in with all of our investors in the last placement. So it's very good news for us today. And we obviously, how would this affect the TMG EQR transaction moving forward? Would it make it more powerful?
Well, certainly, and again, it builds on the company's narrative. I think if you look back on what we have told shareholders years ago, or even in the recent 12 months, we have indicated that we are actively exploring opportunities to add value to our product, to add value to the concentrate, and not being reliant on call it Chinese or external processing capacity, as we are seeing in the rare earth industry. Any development in Australia or in the Western world relies primarily on Chinese processing capacity before it then got delivered as a whatever permanent magnet or intermediate product into Europe and the US. So again, it's part of the approach that we have selected years ago that I think we are continuous delivering on. What I want to clarify is currently we are only talking about export control measures, right? And they are related to, again, defense applications primarily, as we have them in place out of Europe or even the US. So I think the interesting part here is that the Chinese government have selected the entire export market as maybe even being suspicious of, wrongdoings, or they've used that probably as a forefront reasoning to put these measures into place. So it will affect, as I said before, Japan and European markets like the US. What you have seen, and I think this is where the difference lays to the export ban on antimony and gallium germanium released in 24, end of 24, is that it was very selective to the US only. I don't know whether the Chinese will escalate it similarly to the tungsten products that we look at. Let's assume it will be a further stage of escalation, but it will be very selective potentially to the US market only. TMG, and our view on TMG is still very positive. Nevertheless, the export measures put in place in this round do not affect ferrotungsten, at least not to our assessment so far. So I think it makes a lot of sense independently. There will be ferrotungsten flowing out of China into the Western market, as it was the main source over the last years or even a decade. The good thing is the Vietnamese smelter had been in production, as you have been covering that before. It has been in production in 2015, 2016 onwards. So the Japanese and European clients do know the product. They know it's a reliable operation, and I think we can build on that positive reputation moving forward. But yeah, we're not banking our strategy on China making these tough decisions. We are banking our strategy on integrating supply chains, proactively expanding supply from Australia and Spain, and adding value to the product, which means added value to shareholders. So that's primarily the strategy. It does help, obviously, that the US and China do have differences over trade, and this is being amplified, if I may say like this, amplified by policies that both governments put in place.
Thanks, Oliver. That's really interesting. We'll leave it there with you today. I know we're catching up next week for a more in-depth look at what's happening, but thanks for your take on that. It's obvious to us that this is very good for shareholders. We've been looking for this to happen for quite some time. Hence our following of Tungsten with the TMG, then linking up with EQR. So we see this as a very good start for what could be a long run for EQR moving forward. And we'll give a better update on the company next week. But it's some massive news for the company, which is the market's received extremely well, which is very good.
Do appreciate it. Thanks, Sean. Yeah.
Thanks, Ollie.